The biggest mistake I made in my business was not hiring a professional to help me with my money. Not just my taxes, but the actual plan I had for my business. I was completely lost on how to handle taxes, what to do with profit, and how to maintain my income. I had to find a better way. That's when I found Core Financial. Core Financial is a team of tax professionals that actually care about building real relationships with their clients. They run my books, keep me up to date with my finances, and make sure I'm taking full advantage of all of my tax benefits. Are you struggling with your finances? Look no further. Core Financial is a brand that is nationwide that can help you with your business. Both Nick and I are huge fans of Core, and they can help you too. Check out howtofilmweddings.com/core to schedule a consultation today. Core Financial, real relationships, no surprises.
Hello and welcome to this week's episode of the How to Film Weddings podcast. My name is Nick Miller and I am coming at you live from Venture 2020 group number 2. What's up, everybody? Yes. Yeah. That was no. That was rough. That was rough. Anyway, so what we want to do before we get into you guys asking questions, so make sure you be thinking of some really good questions out there. I want to go around the couches and just have everyone introduce themselves. So we'll start with you.
Hello, everyone. I'm Caleb from KEJ Productions. I'm half of KEJ Productions, and we're from Orlando, Florida, currently.
Oh. I'm Elaine, the other half of KEJ Productions.
I'm Rachel, and I'm married to him, and I'm just here to make sure he gets the answers to the questions correctly, because he usually doesn't.
Nick, can I get a piece of gum? Do you have any gum? Oh, okay, sorry. My name is Lindsay. I'm from LaRev Films. I work for my wife, Cherish, and I do whatever she says, and it all works out. So.
I am Aaron. Silent. I'm Aaron. I'm with 31 Films and Film Lab in Houston, Texas, and I don't work with any of these guys, but I like them.
I'm Matt Johnson. I make YouTube videos and babies with this lady over here. And I'm barbecue brother to Aaron.
Babies, that was plural.
Baby, wait. Okay. I'm David. I'm in California, part of Forestry Films, make wedding films. That's about it. Yeah.
I'm Kaylin Rome, and I'm part of White and Reverie, and we live here locally in Denver, Colorado, even though it's technically Wheat Ridge, but I consider it Denver.
I'm Christine Rome, and I'm the other half of White and Reverie, and I live with this guy, and it's great. It's hot. It's a lot of robes and furry shoes. Oh, you have a mic.
Hi, I'm Eric Floberg. I work for Eric Floberg Incorporated, and I film and photograph weddings. I do a little bit of YouTube stuff, and yeah, that's about it. I run. I run a lot. Have you heard that I run? Really? I've never told you.
You guys, on Monday night, whenever we recorded this with Group 1, I count at least 4 times whenever Eric brought up that he ran. Every time he talked. Yeah. Oh, so. Oh, man. So we wanted to open it up to you guys to ask any questions to this panel, this group of amazing wedding filmmakers. Ask whatever you want. So is there anyone that has something they would like to ask? Yes, right over here. Where do you think the wedding industry is headed? What are we doing right? What are we doing wrong? Whoa. Anybody?
Grandpa Tharpy will come in and tell you a story. When I was making wedding films. That's what that just on it.
Keep it going.
Dana. They don't know the judge yet.
Okay, I have been making wedding films for 18 years. So I've seen a lot of going wrong and a little bit of going right. And a lot of the going right is like in this room right now. I've been able to like connect with so many of you already on this first day, and probably a few of you can attest. Some really, really amazing talent, like sitting right there, not just on this couch. Yeah, not on this couch at all. There's a few people that are talented up here, but like for me, like the thing that we're doing right now is people are really trying to find a voice that is unique. For a while, there was a huge sea of sameness in the wedding film industry, and very slowly, people have really started to figure out. I'll plug David. Like the riches are in the niches. I really liked that, by the way. But people are really trying to figure out like. There's a way that I can stand out. I can bring my personality, my perspective to my wedding films. There's not a template that is one size fits all. So the going right is like people really finding their voice, bring it to the forefront. I'll let someone else tackle the going wrong. And y'all can meet me out back later.
I think specifically this year, with us seeing more elopements, seeing more small weddings, you're going to see more trends of doing things like that. And so, once normal wedding stuff resumes, you might see more couples choosing to do that smaller stuff because they were inspired by seeing creative ideas that people had during this time. And so I think there's going to be potentially a bigger market for that style and type of wedding, and a way for people to kind of niche down into that stuff and give people that opportunity to pursue that if they want it and felt inspired to do so.
I definitely agree. I see there's a huge trend of micro weddings, and if you can jump in on that, it's really, really. I think you will be benefited a lot if you do. Yeah, micro weddings are really fun. We've definitely loved smaller weddings, small elopements, and things like that. And it can be really fun, but I feel like there's a huge market for that right now. So
I feel like where we're going, let's take it even more micro. I want to see somebody having a TikTok package. That's the future. You get your wedding videos on TikTok. It's vertical, 1 minute. Somebody will buy it. It's gonna be awesome.
The other going right, like people are properly exposing. Like that's honestly like a huge change from 5 or 6 years ago. Like people are like understanding exposure and composition like more so than ever.
I think what's cool too is we're starting to, and it's been going slowly for the last few years, is like people are starting to realize the value of video and like how much effort like we all put into video. Like I'm sure everyone can agree. We've all had that inquiry where the couple's like, yeah, I don't even know if I even want a photographer, but I have to have video at my wedding. And I love that because we work very hard at what we do, and like to see that finally starting to be valued is pretty impressive. Rachel?
No.
Oh. She's adding a lot. What other questions do we have? Yes. So the question is, what has been the fulfilling part of doing wedding videos on our end? Okay, the venture. Okay, what are we getting out of venture?
Hey. I said this earlier this morning. What's cool for me in this being here at Venture 2020 is that I get to see a lot of you experiencing what I experienced at the first venture that I went to, and it's brilliant. It's mind blowing. You're just learning from what I consider some of the best in the industry. So I would say it's cool for me to see you guys just like being cool enough to like invest in yourself and coming out here, but two, like seeing your eyes open to information that we love to pour out. So I think that's for me, yeah, it's really cool.
Most amazing thing for me is just seeing you guys' work and how good you guys are getting, and seeing like, oh, I was at last venture, or I watched your video and I implemented this thing, and now I'm charging twice as much as I was charging. Like, that's so incredible as a teacher to have you guys doing kind of what we're all telling you to do and killing it. Like, me and Matt were reviewing films, and I was just like, this is your third wedding? Or first year doing this is crazy, mind-boggling. So that's the coolest thing, seeing you guys be like way better at us, way better than us, way quicker. It's so cool.
Are you done? I don't want to interrupt you. One of my favorite things is watching people who are quietly sitting in the corner and then suddenly by the end of venture starting to talk to other people, or seeing groups at the photo booths and things like that, because I know there are very few of us, but there's quite a bit of you. And we can build relationships with few people, but the large group of the venture alumni, that's where I see people vacationing together now, and people talking on a regular basis, on a weekly basis, and things like that, and referring clients, and going through major life changes with other people. That kind of stuff, seeing the friendships built, that is truly one of the things that makes this the most valuable and rewarding and worth all the stress kind of event for us, if that makes sense. So.
Yeah, and just to add to that, what is exciting for me is to also see like the next generation of filmmakers. Like, our goal is to see the people that come to Venture become speakers at Venture and give back to the next generation. And it's so cool to see. I mean, Caleb and Elaine, we love you guys, and it's been so exciting to have you as teachers, and you have such an amazing gift, and you're also so talented. I mean, we can bring people that are good at their craft, but you're beyond just great at your craft. You're also amazing at presenting that to people so that they can take that in and become even better. And so you're just continually pouring that out to other people. And anything that we can do to help other people pour into other people, we are for. And so that's kind of like our ultimate goal with Venture, is that we may not be relevant, a few years from now, 5 years from now, but you will, and you will have something unique that you can teach to the people following up. And so that's kind of our goal, is to always pay it forward, going forward with everything.
Yeah, for me, I think like I'm in it to learn. Like, specifically, you say, okay, what's in it for you? And there's a lot in it for me, but like I'm here to learn. I'm learning from these people on this couch. I'm learning from you, and so like I think you should never stop learning, no matter whether you're on this couch or not. Like, you should always be learning and growing, and that's why I'm here. Rachel,
I actually do have an answer. I think for us, like, since a lot of our business, I'm a lot behind the scenes, but a lot of our business is on YouTube. It's nice to see that we're not just creating something. It's just like going into the void of like, oh, like this actually helps someone. We've had so many people come up to us and be like, oh, I watched this video and that was super helpful. And like, you were super instrumental in me wanting to be a wedding videographer. And so that's pretty cool.
Like, I don't know if I'm just talking to a camera in a room, normally with my baby, not slamming on the door like, Dad, and I'm like, no, I'm busy right now. Like, so like I have an audience, but it's like on the other side of a camera. And I feel like you guys can actually identify with this because there's been a pandemic, so you're just used to talking to cameras on like a Zoom call. So I don't get to like have that personal connection with people aside from like snarky YouTube comments. So it's really nice to be able to meet people in person.
Yeah, it's been, excuse me, it's been really cool to be a part of this and seeing. And one of the things that to kind of piggyback off of Lindsay, never stop learning and always be open to who you can learn from. Okay, whenever I started, I said this the other night, I did a mentorship with David like 4 years ago, something like that. I'm 10 years older than David, okay? 10 years older than David, and so yeah. So, but anyway, I'm sitting there and like, what?
You're 50? What?
Okay. I am a Venture alumni, but I was saying, so here I am, this guy in my mid-30s, learning from this guy in his mid-20s about running business and how to do that. And in our world, if there's someone that's 10 years older or 15 years older, like they're the one that knows it. They're the one in charge. But it's kind of humbling. Okay, I can learn something even if it's from someone who is younger than me or different than me or whatever. So just the learning has been such a big thing. And I think I told you this, but I count that as like one of the 3 things looking back on my business that has totally changed the trajectory of how our Wild Oak Films business has come. And it's because I was willing to educate and learn from somebody else. So, yeah, that's me. Yeah, what do you got? Another question. Okay, so it's a 2-part question. Is it natural for us to just... were you done? Okay, sorry. Is it natural for us to age out, and do you think that going into something like corporate is just the natural progression?
I think so. It's different for everyone, and for instance, me and Christine, I feel like have different trajectories sometimes, even though we've run the company together. And for me, I still enjoy filming weddings. It's given me life. I think as we continue on, we start recognizing and trying to pay attention to what gives me life. What is something that I'm passionate about? And if it's not weddings, I want to pursue what gives me passion, because I learned that whenever I'm filming weddings, I'm enjoying this process, or it's something that's still fun. If it comes to a place of burnt out, it's probably because I haven't taken the time to identify what gives me life, because I'm being distracted by all this extra energy that is pulling me away from that. So I used to travel for weddings. We used to travel for years, and we loved that aspect of filming. And now we rarely travel, and it's partly because that doesn't give me life the same way it used to. So it's not that I'm necessarily burnt out, it's just that my passion has shifted, and I'm still living fullness in this new passion, just like I was living fullness in it. So I wouldn't think of it from the mindset of like, okay, this probably is more of like a seasonal job, or, I could probably be filming weddings for a very long time, but I want to be filming weddings as long as I'm passionate about it. And I know that if I'm not passionate about it, that's only because I'm passionate about something else, and I want to live in that moment, and that gives me life. And as long as we're here and we're enjoying the process and we're filming weddings, if we're not, then let's lean into what areas can I be encouraged? What can I learn to say no to, so that I can be a little bit in a healthier state? Because I think sometimes we just get overwhelmed and get burnt out, or we shoot a lot of the same similar weddings that is not giving us life. And at that point, it's like, I need to make a change if I want to continue to be inspired in this industry. So constantly, we're always evaluating our why. Why do we want to do this? And what gives us life? So I think if you just constantly keep reminding yourself and surrounding yourself with people in this room and mentors around you to keep encouraging you, but also learning, I think that's going to help you go as far as you want to go.
Can I make one more note about that? I heard a podcast where the guy that created the shoes, I remember him saying that some of the things he attributes his success to is just the fact that he always explores curiosities. And for Kaylin and I both, I feel like that kind of settled just very in a very loud way in our minds. We went to never stop exploring all of our curiosities. And if that includes making new businesses and doing things like that, or if that includes going into the commercial market, or if that doesn't include going into the commercial market, instead doing something completely wildly different. I never want to be like, this is my natural progression. We started here in weddings, now we're going to commercial, now we're going to be doing filming for the NFL or whatever. I think that that's a beautiful path for a lot of people, and for us, I understand if that's not quite what it is, and maybe one day we'll do something different, like become professional soccer players or something. That's not realistic at all. I'm trying to find something completely random, but who knows? I feel like that's kind of, I know in your class you talked about 10-year plan, and I've been sitting a lot on trying to think about what that could potentially be, what that could potentially look like, and stuff like that, because I went to, because I feel like that's always like a thing in our minds, like always explore any curiosity. Whether I joined an acting class, I actually did get on a soccer team. We lost every single game. I was terrible. I was absolutely terrible. But I would just encourage that to anybody, even if you're in this. Let this business, the weekend work, and however you want to set up your business to allow yourself freedom to explore creative hobbies. Kaylin is crazy into Legos right now. That's hilarious.
It's Lego.
Oh. All right, proof on how deep he's gotten. But I think as this is probably a room full of many entrepreneurs, possibly many non-entrepreneurs as well, which is just something to think about. But a lot of entrepreneurs in here, and just let that be a thing that guides you, is your own curiosities. You can have so many businesses. We can do weddings and also do a million other things on the side. Pursue real estate if we wanted, or anything like that. And so, yeah. I hope that's helpful. Anybody else?
I mean, I just know that you were asking how long you could do it before you like burn out, and I know that. Aren't I correct? Age out. Aren't I correct though that as long as you run, you can feasibly film weddings forever as long as you're running, right, Eric? Yeah, your body never falls. Okay.
Come into my class tomorrow. I do it twice. No, I'll try to give you a short answer. There's no need to like consider like there a point where you're aging out. I don't think that's the factor. I know like photographers in their 60s and 70s who are creating amazing work. But realistically, like, yeah, do you want to be, lugging a bag of tripods around when you're 65 years old? Maybe not. So for us, as a brand, we did launch commercial, not to like use weddings as a stepping stone to get out of weddings. We're still, I see us shooting weddings for the rest of our company's existence. But we use a team, we have staff who like long term, that may not be my personal, like where I'm shooting weddings forever, but we'll always be evolving and bringing in new talent so that we can continue to do weddings. But it requires you to like, the mental challenge there is like you have to challenge yourself to grow in so many ways. It's so easy to get stagnant. If you're talking about this like long-term career, it's so easy to be like, here's how I do it, and I've always done it that way. And if that's what you do, you will age out. You're gonna see like your clients they're gonna stop calling because all of your clientele, like they're all married now, and you never were able to reach anyone else. So it requires you to like continually rethink, and it doesn't mean like jump to trends, but it does mean like you're growing and you're getting better, and you're finding a new perspective or a new way to use your perspective. If you stay the same, you're not going to be able to deliver that forever and stay in the industry. So that'd be my thought.
As far as like stepping stones, like that kind of thing, like I went to school to be a youth minister. Like that's why I went to college, and I graduated, and everyone would ask me, because kind of church work, like the natural progression, you're a youth minister, oh, you're going to become a preacher someday. And I was like, nope, I don't want to do that. I want to be a youth minister. Like that's what I want to be. That's who I am. And then I found video and I fell in love with it. My passion totally crossed. And so I was able to, leave that job to do this. And then as I'm filming, my weddings and doing that, then this how to film weddings thing kind of happened and came in. And so now I'm pursuing that. And kind of what Christine was saying, if you're continuing, take advantage of the opportunities that are in front of you, okay, and kind of see where they can go. Because 5 years ago, me would have never predicted I would be where I am today, and it was because there was these opportunities in front of me, and I just took them. So if you want to be a wedding filmmaker for the rest of your career, that's great. That's great. That's fine. But one of the cool thing is, like these guys are saying, you don't have to like make a plan and just do this thing to get to the next thing. Some people in here I know have done commercial work, and they're like, nope, not for me. and other people are doing weddings now, but they really want to, it's just kind of what you want to do. And you don't have to do just one. I repeated you so that the microphone could hear it and it would. Right. Oh, yes. This is, and I've shared this a little before on our podcast, but this is like super transparent, super real moment for me. Last fall when we were at Vision Quest, some people here at Vision Quest, I went to go buy something and my card got declined. And in my family account and in my business account, I had a total of $83. Okay? There's your low point. Okay? Like, here I am, being on this podcast and saying, like, and it was true, like, we were successful. I was just not good with money. But like, that was definitely a huge wake-up call to, like, holy crap, get your stuff together. Like, preach what you teach and get your life together. So that was my low, and I wish that on none of you, because it is stressful. I remember having to call my mom and be like, can you help us out? And it was an ordeal. So there's me.
It happened to me at the end of 2018. I had just finished my 4th or 5th consecutive year of doing 30 plus weddings in a year, both photo and video, or a combination of both. And every year from I think 2013 until that point, so like 5 years in a row, I had a backlog all the way through holiday season. And that weight and burden on me to not feel like I could be present with my family through the holidays, like, drove me insane. And like, my wife knows it well. When I have a deep backlog, I am just so stressed out because I'm balancing all these other things. I'm balancing a YouTube channel now. I'm balancing all these other side hustles. And it's just this thing that's nagging at me, and I can't be fully present when I have that huge backlog. And so I made a very intentional decision after that season to say, the next year, I'm actually only going to book 12. Like 12 to 15 is the max, and setting that boundary for myself. And so that's actually what 2020 ended up being. And obviously a lot got postponed, but I ended up shooting around 12 this year. And it's been so much more manageable. And at the same time, as I've been scaling my business and diversifying my income, diversifying ways I can make money, I've also hired an assistant this year to help with emailing. And she does all of my photo editing, culling, and catalog editing. And then I take it after she's done and tweak it to, all my perfectionist standards, and then deliver it. And those steps, those tangible steps, made me feel like it could be more sustainable again. And wherever you're at in the process, some of you have had conversations with saying, like, yeah, I'm actually feeling really overwhelmed with the volume of weddings I'm shooting now. Maybe you need to start thinking about those decisions as well. How do I need to start raising my prices to naturally deter that many from coming in? Or do I need to intentionally cap the amount I'm doing as I pursue other things? Just thinking about that, and similar to thinking about that 10-year plan. What do I want long term?
Oh, I'm sorry, guys. I'm going to keep stealing the mic. I can kind of be a mic hog. I'm sorry. Last year, I think it was March, I was diagnosed with chronic Lyme disease. And I don't know if anybody is super aware of what that is like, but it's basically a lot of feeling like death is right on the other side of the door. Like, it was pretty terrifying. And there were moments when there were things happening, like as a symptom, I was having suicidal thoughts. As we have a daughter. And like, obviously there were moments when I would ask Kaylin, I would be like, hey Kaylin, come sit on the couch with me. I feel really weird about this. Like, I don't really want to talk much about it, but I think I'm experiencing a symptom because this feels very outside of my body. I think I'm experiencing suicidal thoughts. Or I don't think it. I knew. That's what I had been sitting there for hours, just sitting on that. And that was a literal symptom of that whole situation. We didn't sit very long in that state. We after about 5 doctors, it was our 6th doctor that actually said, hey, I think you actually have chronic Lyme disease. We were able to diagnose it. We were able to start addressing it. I started treatment last year. But it was a very weird and long and painful journey. There were times whenever we would show up to weddings and I would look around and say, I feel like I can't see anything around me. And I need to go sit down for a minute and things like that. And it was pretty terrifying, to say the least. There were times when I would stand up and immediately feel like I'm about to fall down and things like that. I felt pretty weak at times. And sorry, guys, this is really heavy. But on the plus side, also, Kaylin has been the most incredible support. I have a lot of friends that were incredible support through the process. And my doctor told me this year, I think it was actually February, she said it was one of the fastest recoveries. It can be a really long process for recovery, but I paired it with a lot of other healing. We were able to figure out a lot of our problems and heal up most of the Lyme. So luckily, I'm no longer really battling it. But anyway, that was a major low point of just fear, of terror, wondering if I was going to be alive within the next couple days, and looking around, not being able to actually make eye contact. I think that was one of the scariest ones, was not being able to actually look people in the eye because my mind couldn't focus well enough to do it. And it's literally like a brain bacteria. And hey guys, I really haven't talked much about that, so that's kind of crazy. But that was a low point for us. And luckily, kicked that in the butt. So, yeah.
T-ball questions? Speaking of butts, I left my my underwear in the bathroom, and we're sharing a bathroom. I discovered that this morning. That was a low point. I couldn't believe it. I'm like, oh man, White and Reverie just saw my chonies. Like, that's yeah, it was like, yeah, I guess they were next to Kaylin's, and like it was my like sky blue, boxer briefs, and then there was like white zebra print. Like, I didn't really plan on sharing that story, but like I just felt like we needed to have a laugh for a second. So anyway.
What would you take on if you had an extra set of hands? What would you do with your free time if you didn't have to edit? So many of us get bogged down in the post-production hustle that we never seem time to focus on our business. John and I both felt that way until we found Wedditor. Wedditor is a post-production team of top wedding film editors and project managers that give your films and brand the extra eyes, ears, and hands that they need. Not only is Wedditor delivering films we love to our couples faster, but we can invest ourselves fully in other areas of our business knowing that Wedditor has our back. Be the first to know how your second shooters are doing, how those new LUTs work with your footage, and relax knowing your couples are getting the full attention they deserve on every single project. So what could you do with an extra hand? Head over to howtofilmweddings.com/Wedditor, whether you're ready to start now or preparing for next season. Be sure to use promo code HTFW for $50 off your first project. If you're interested in this service, make sure you head over to howtofilmweddings.com/Wedditor soon. Fall 2020 spots are lined up and filling up fast. Wedditor, more than freelance, more than outsourcing.
Finding the perfect song for your wedding film can be so frustrating. We spend countless hours searching for the perfect song. When it comes to licensing music, Nick and I both love MusicBed. Not only do they have the best music, but their website makes it so easy to find the perfect song and to find it fast. We have both been using the MusicBed's wedding subscription for years and cannot recommend it enough. Not only are they adding new music from incredible musicians like Chapters, The Light, The Heat, and Tony Anderson all the time, they've made it incredibly easy to search their library for mood, genre, instrumentation, and even key. So what are you waiting for? Head on over to howtofilmweddings.com/musicbed and use promo code HTFW for a free month of a MusicBed wedding subscription. howtofilmweddings.com/musicbed.
Thank you for that. What's the next question? What do we got? Yeah. What have you shifted in your business since the pandemic hit?
Can I go again? Too soon?
No.
Okay. looking at my contract, like since the pandemic hit, like, you know, it's a stress test on every level of your business. It's a stress test on everything, but especially like contract, like looking at your contract and saying, okay, is this actually protecting me? You know, is my contract just a formality, or is it actually protecting me? Because like that was a huge thing. So we've changed a lot. Like, you know, definitely getting professional legal counsel and not necessarily buying a template you found on the internet, but actually having a lawyer to go through your stuff. Like that was a huge one. So that was probably the number one thing we've changed.
We rebranded. We made a new website. We made a new demo reel. We got a new contract. We raised our prices. What else did we do? Yeah, we raised our retainer amount that we require, like the percentage. That was most of the things. But yeah, we pretty much used the opportunity to say, all right, we've got some time. Let's change what we got. And rather than panic and say like things are crazy, we should like maybe like drop our prices or anything like that. Like we recognize that there was a premium there. Like now the ability to share a moment that people can't be present for is at the highest premium it's ever been at. And then also we ended up doing a bunch of like random live streams, and like we got creative with people for little micro weddings where it's like not a traditional setup. Like we worked with people who were in a situation that wasn't normal, and found something that would work for them.
I think for us, like we really view like making wedding films as a service. So it was really a good opportunity to learn how we can better serve our couples in this time, because it was really devastating, like to like cancel weddings. I feel like I'm gonna cry. Like it was heavy.
Yeah, I was gonna say we had 2 weeks of just like devastation, where I mean the week that quarantine happened, like right when that hit, we had a wedding that very weekend, and basically our bride's like 300-person wedding that she was intended on having got slashed, and it was like 10 people, a minister that was kind enough to do it, and I feel like everyone on this couch could probably attest. It was like, okay, what do we need to do to serve? Because ultimately, like that's our job. Yeah, deliver heirlooms and deliver these things that, you know, families will look at for generations. But right now, Caleb and I really felt like this is our time to serve. And it's gonna hurt us, but we're here to serve. So we had 2 weeks of pretty much chaos, a lot of like emotional management, kind of felt like calling our couples and just listening to a lot of brides cry, you know, to us. But after that kind of settled, we took 2 whole weeks of rest. I mean, we shut off everything. We put on an away message on our email. We shut down our social media for 2 weeks. And we just rested, because I know for me mentally, it was like in April and May and June and even still now, you know, I was like, there's just too much going on. It's election year, all that rolled into one, and my business is like turned upside down. And all of like the people we were closest to in the production industry, their lives are really like shut down, and the events and entertainment, you name it. And so moving forward, though, kind of, it's funny, similar to what Tharpy was saying. Like, I feel like personally, it was like we learned like you need to slow down, like slow the heck down. And so Caleb and I were like, all right, we're pretty much gonna stop taking bookings, because at that point, so much of our business has moved into 2021. I think maybe we've booked 3 more weddings, and it is slammed for 21, but we feel like that's what it's gonna cost to serve people, and serve people well through a season that's just hard hard financially, hard emotionally, hard physically. A lot of people are losing family members and friends, you know. But I think for us personally, it was just like, okay, you need to rest, and you need to learn how to rest and what it means to stop and kind of be still. And then we got up and we rebranded and built a new website and recorded a course and, you know, got the mind busy again. But if there's anything I plan on taking into 2021, even though I know it's going to be a busy year, on the weekends that we do have off, we're shutting things down. So don't come into my DMs asking for no. No, just kidding.
Oh, you got something? Yeah. All right.
In contrast to slowing down, like I ran a lot. A lot. So like if you're into that, subscribe to Floberg Runs on YouTube. Okay.
I will say I learned a lot about myself and my body's needs as approaching creativity. So I feel like I was realizing once I was bogging my brain down with news and things like that, I would sit down and start editing and look at everything thinking, how could I possibly tell the story of the most incredible day of this person's life while I'm so depressed? I've been grieving so heavily. And I feel I've heard the word mom 700,000 times that day. And learning how to approach creativity was really a big thing. Or learning how to create boundaries around my mind and my emotional state so that I can sit down and be creative, which is, by the way, one of the most important things for me to be a thriving human being. That was a really big thing I learned a lot of.
All right. Great answers, guys. Thank you. Thank you for all of that. Yeah. Another question? Yeah. So you guys gone through any mentorships that have really changed the trajectory of your business or life or whatever? Yeah.
I'll take it. So as a 3 on the Enneagram, it's really hard to get your work critiqued. And like I know, so this last year we hired a creative director. And I hired him because he was so much better at graphic design, so much cooler than I was. And that was really hard to just be like, hey, just come and just rip our brand to shreds. And he did that. I remember he sat down. He's like, this is campy. This is really cheesy. You got to change this and change this. And it was super hard to hear. And it was one of the best things for our brand because I would have never done that myself. I would have kept just tweaking things that were kind of good, but still not really getting where I wanted to be. And I told him, I'm like, this is where I want to be. And he said, well, if you want to do that, you have to change all of this. And it was hard as a teacher, you know, I'm teaching you guys things, and I'm like, well, but I've said this, but you got to change it. And that was just really hard to hear because I was humbled, and I'm like, okay, so I'm wrong in all these areas. And this whole last year has been tremendous growth, and we've been able to grow our brand, our pricing, just the whole thing. So one of the best things I would recommend to you guys is find someone who's significantly better than you and just say, hey, I'll do whatever you tell me to do. And just listen and make all the changes. It's like the best thing you could possibly do.
I would say even whenever we came to Venture and we were listening to you speak about branding and talking about how you invest into your gear, you invest into all of these things, but you won't invest into a logo, like that blew our mind. And I think that was our first time we like pushed into. So that's funny to hear you talk about it in that way.
He was wrong.
Only once.
So when we started our business, even before we filmed, I think we filmed one wedding, and we were like, we can kind of do this. Maybe we should start an LLC. And we were kind of just dreaming. We reached out to 2 people, or 3 rather. The first was the planner. Really, she was like a month of planner because we couldn't afford a full planner. But we reached out to her because I saw her, who planned our wedding, I meant to say. I saw her business growing. She had just bought a new venue. She was already managing a new venue. She was a Black woman. So I was like, man, this is someone, she's killing it. Like, I want to know what she thinks. And she was so encouraging, and she took this huge risk on us at the very beginning of our business. And she basically was like, I'm going to make sure everybody in Central Florida knows who KEJ is. Like, and we didn't even, I mean, we were crap, first of all, at that time, like, didn't understand color or anything. But she took a risk on us and made sure we were on every single one of her events. She was hosting a fashion show. She made sure we were the cinematographers for it, to the point where people are like, who is this like couple? You know, so that was the very first, I mean, that was huge. She put her name on the line by putting our name out there. And then the second, I'm gonna try not to cry. The second internship, was Kaylin and Chris, and mentorship. And at the time, like, you were pregnant with Zeely, and it was just like, you were just starting your online stuff. And I was like, man, this couple, they're out of Orlando, and like, their work is killing. It's so intentional. And if there's any, oh, you gotta take over.
Yeah, super intentional. I think in that moment, it was fun. Okay, to make it funny. So Tam, the planner, she was like, as soon as we came in, and then we actually did our mentorship with you guys, she goes, "You guys are gonna move to Colorado, aren't you?" She's like, "All the good ones moved to Colorado."
Okay, I can pull it together.
And we're back.
I can pull it together. But I remember, like, coming off. Can you guys hear me? I remember coming off that call, and first of all, it was so practical. Like, you totally changed our workflow. Like, you gave us action steps, and you were just cool. And I remember being so relieved. Like, oh my gosh, not only are they excellent at what they do, but they're so approachable, and like, I would want to hang out with them, and just like to see how you guys have influenced our business and encouraged us and put your names on the line for the sake of like us stepping into new spaces is truly, I don't even have words. I'm just so grateful. It's changed our lives. It really has. And so to you, I just encourage you, and it's hard. It's hard to reach out to people that you admire, and as David said, to get your work critiqued. That's really hard for me, because I already feel like I do a pretty good job at that. As an Enneagram 1, I'm like, I don't need anybody up in here like looking at I do fine just critiquing my own work. It like that has truly changed our lives. And even like going to our first venture New Mexico 2 years ago was the first time any other filmmakers had seen our work. I don't post in forums. It's not my thing. I don't like go sneaking into someone's DMs like, hey, can you review my film? As I said, and it was really the teachers that were like, these cats did a next day teaser. Like, we're gonna play at tomorrow morning's thing. And that was like devastating for me, because that was not like the intent. We just do those things for fun. But it was so encouraging, because not only was it now White and Reverie encouraging us, then there was a whole community of filmmakers saying like, you guys are crushing it. And now those filmmakers that we met at that venture, like, we exchanged gigs. Like, Jordan Jonty, who we met, like, he just shot a rehearsal dinner for us in Dallas and crushed it. Y'all should see this portrait footage. I was like, are you kidding me? I need to step my game up. So it's just awesome. Like, I just encourage you guys to really step out and connect with each other, not just the people on this couch, but you can mentor each other. That's it.
We're going to talk about that later, sweetheart. When we first started our company, there was a filmmaking duo that was Kaylin and I both were like, oh my gosh. Aside from 31 Films, which, by the way, we fangirled hilariously, nearly peed my pants. I know, seriously. This was a different company, and we were so excited we were so nervous and scared to reach out to them. We reached out to them, and they were like, oh my gosh, like, I would love to meet up with you guys. I think that they were excited and flattered. And they were like, listen, we actually have a show tonight. You want to come to our concert? And we showed up, and he was the lead screamer in a screamo band.
And I was so excited. Literally was like, yeah, come meet us, come hang out. We're gonna go hang out. And I was like, okay, I think one of them, I think his wife, who also was filming, was like at the merch table, and I went and met her. She was so precious. And I was just thinking, like, see the guy on the bass or something, because the guitarist. And then I was like, which one is he? Because I didn't know I don't think I'd seen his photo just yet. He was this lead screamer, just screaming his face off. And I was, as soon as we met him, I was like, dude, I'm so excited to build this relationship. And he brought so much growth to us. Literally conversations like, wow, why are you guys charging that little? You're bringing down the industry value, the median here. Conversations like that, like, wow, you have that in your contract? You guys need to start doing these kinds of things. He was really smart and savvy and just an intelligent mentor. And I will forever look back and think about that moment of thinking, wow, he was the guy screaming his face off, which, I mean, I listen to screamo music here and there sometimes. So I appreciated it, could really relate, loved it.
And he's the sweetest guy in the world.
He's the kindest. You walk up to him, he's just so gentle and kind and calming, and he's like a lead screamer in a band. It's hilarious. Just a quick story with me, because I think it's just so great of an opportunity to credit people that inspire you. Whenever we moved to Denver from Florida, we moved here and we had walked with our brand new neighbors downstairs that we just met, and we were like, oh yeah, we're wedding filmmakers, and they're like, oh yeah, we got a wedding video. I was like, oh cool, who did it? Because we're local. I'm curious who's local, and they're like, oh, this company called Valair. And I was like, Valair? Yeah, they're from Boulder and stuff. And I'm like, wait, that sounds so familiar. I had been watching their films and absolutely had been in love with them, but they had always filmed overseas. So I thought that they lived overseas because all their work was overseas, and ended up reaching out to Tim Twynham and was saying, hey man, we just moved, absolutely love your work, would love to try to buy you coffee or something, we'd just love to meet you, been a big fan of your work. And he was like, sure, come, we can chat for 30 minutes. And we went up there to Boulder and hung out for 3 hours and just connected, and we just hit it off. And then a month later, I get a call from him, and he's like, hey, so I know we haven't worked together, but how do you feel about flying to Thailand to film a wedding with me? And I'm like, whoa, with Valair? And so I was like, Christine, I got to take this opportunity. And so ended up going to Thailand for 10 days with Tim, and we shot Maru Films' wedding. That's how we met Remy and Puek, right before they started doing weddings. And so that whole world just opened up from that, all because we're able to reach out and connect with people around us that we were inspired by, instead of being a little bit of nervous. I think just kind of like, man, I want to be in that space, and I want to learn, and I want to just be friends with people that are like-minded. So that was a really cool opportunity that came from that.
Also, a huge note on all of this, if you start reaching out to a lot of people, and you also aren't getting, right now, I think there's a lot of grief seeing the world in the state that it is, and things like that. You could potentially reach out to people and they might have extra time and feel like, oh, I need to do something that feels valuable. Let me jump on that. I would love to do this FaceTime call with you. Or you could reach out to someone who's experiencing a lot of grief right now and experiencing a lot of stuff. So don't ever be offended, and don't ever stop trying to find, if you start reaching out to mentors, and you might get a few messages, especially right now in the emotional climate that we're all, everybody's in, not just us, but everybody is in. And people are feeling a little bit less emotional space, because just as many people I think that are feeling that are also feeling the need to pour into more people. They're feeling more space to pour into more people. So don't give up if you start searching and you don't find somebody quite yet, or you get emails like, not right now, I can't right now. Don't be offended by that. So sorry to interrupt you.
I'll just be the last one on this question. Similar to you guys, I went to a called Workshop in Brooklyn for 3 years straight. And the first year I went was the most profound changing time for me and my business philosophically. So I went there thinking I was going to get a bunch of head knowledge, and I kept going to class after class of teacher, getting to the heart of everything. And I walked away just totally transformed in how I wanted to do business. And one specific story was a class I went to by Jonas Peterson, a wedding photographer based out of Australia. And he told this story in his workshop that just like radically changed my attitude and approach to how I shoot any wedding, whether it's photo or video, and serving a client and what that means, and ridding all of like what I want to bring to the table and my artistic voice and all this. Because he told a story of, it was rainy season where he was in Australia. He went to the venue. He was fully expecting this bride to be upset because of the rain. And he got his stuff in there, and he heard a clap of thunder, and he heard the bride say, "It's okay, I know." And he was like, what'd she just say? And then another clap of thunder, he's like, "I know, it's okay." She goes, "I know, it's okay, I know you're here." And he's like, "I'm sorry, are you talking to me right now?" And she's like, No, just so you know, my mom passed away last year, and it was raining like this on the day she passed. So every time it rains like this, I just know she's with me. And he was like, "Oh, okay." And he said, even if my beliefs didn't line up with something like that, it didn't matter, because everything just turned into capturing the rain then that day. And so he went outside and he photographed puddles, and he went to the leaves and he got rain droplets and just like craziness. And so the ceremony came and the sun broke out, and you could notice she was like visibly upset. And he just like went up to her and was like consoling her. They got through the ceremony. She was cheering up after the ceremony, went to the reception. He went into the reception. He came out to get an establishing shot of the venue. And there was an enormous rainbow over the venue. And he's just like, oh. He runs inside. And Jonas, being Jonas and who he is and how he serves his clients, he went up to her and he said, "Mom is back." He just went up to her, "Mom is back. You need to come with me." And they ran outside, and he intentionally made sure she couldn't see the rainbow. And he got a wide shot, and he said, "All right, turn around and see Mom." And she turned around, and she fell to her knees and started weeping. And like, I know, it's an insane story, and I obviously can't take any credit for any of that. Radically changed how I approached shooting weddings. And just like that whole line of like, it doesn't matter who I am and what I bring to the table, but it matters that I'm there and that I'm present and that I capture what matters, that I intervene at these moments of like, how can I be that voice that brings someone to that emotional state of remembering the people they love, you know? Yeah, thanks to Jonas. It's an incredibly powerful story, and very much so, and I hope that I can just pass that along to you guys as well. It was very similar to me. I lost one of my clients a year after I filmed her wedding, photographed her wedding, and going to that funeral and experiencing the hug from her sister and what her family said to me after she tragically passed, saying like, "You took some of the last portraits of her we ever have of her." Like that, just the profound effect you can have on people and what we do is insane. So just don't take that for granted, and know that like you can have that much impact on people's lives doing what we do.
I feel like I'm a youth pastor again at Crying Out at church camp. Like, oh man. Okay, we have time for one more. Does anyone have any other last minute? Yes. Are you gonna make us all cry again? No. Okay.
So we all know what these electronics are capable of, and they're getting smaller and smaller, which is awesome. But as a female, I do a lot of corporate stuff, and we're getting into wedding films now because we just really enjoy them. A lot of times when I show up, people will go, "Oh, is that it? Like, where's the crew? Where's the film crew?" And I kind of talked to Christine a little bit about this earlier today. Like, how can I appear more professional? Like, we know how good these cameras are, but people outside don't. And especially as like a short female, people are like kind of discredit my, how, like, so like, what are your comebacks for people who say like, "Oh, your cameras are so small"? I guess is my
As a tall white male, I think I am really.
I can chime into this a little bit because we did a lot of stuff. Same day edits was our biggest thing. We had so many people. I think I might have actually said this, but the reality is I feel like everyone can know this, should know this. For a long time, we realized pretty quickly that a lot of people would be like, oh, the video team, the video team. And this was like 8 years ago when there really wasn't a lot of knowledge about the ability that there is now, you know? So I just started, I can kind of be a little bit like, I need to prove myself. And that was a big thing. I would show up and be like, yeah, I would when I would get that kind of feedback or those kind of looks, like, who are you guys? I would kind of chuckle to myself like, oh, I'll show you. Like I can kind of be like that sometimes. And then I would do these same day edits and it would change the tone completely. And yeah, we would gain so much respect. I remember, I think my favorite feedback was Tyler Harrington was saying that like he and his wife were photographing with us. Well, I think it's because, yeah.
Got the big gear for that.
Yeah, and he was very kind, so respectful. They were doing photography. I think that they only do video now. And anyway, he was so kind and respectful. But like after the same day edit, he was like, I had no idea that you guys were doing that while you know, like he just had no idea. And his response was really, really cool. And I think that that's a lot, even if it's not vocalized, I think it's felt. And so that's a good way to prove yourself from someone who likes to prove herself.
Yeah.
Oh, I was just gonna add to that with the same day edits. I mean, it's not only just impressing the vendors or getting clout with them necessarily, but the family members when they see it respond like emotionally, and then a photographer is looking at how the mother is crying on your shoulder. It's like, what they're experiencing that, like, okay. And I think, yeah, right off the bat, yeah, some people are not going to expect things highly of you, and then you can wow them or you can make them. They'll remember you. Like that day, they will remember you. They will want to work with you. Like it will transform that. I know a lot of companies that have blown up just simply by doing same day edits. It's like the best way to excel, in my opinion.
I can tell you, where are you? Okay. I have always been in industries that are dominated by white men. Always. Before wedding industry, it was the production industry. And forget it. As a black female on an audio console, they just automatically assume I don't know what I'm doing because they've never seen it before. And even before that, in college, like only one of the only females, black female, definitely one of the, the only one. And I have found that I combat that with excellence. Like I'm gonna be the best, and it's in line with what Christine is saying. It's like, okay, when people are like, oh, the video team, I'm the same way. If I get any kind of like, I'm like, oh, look, watch me do this same day edit and like shut your mouth up, So it's like even in this industry, like there's that piece of me that is like. And I don't think I'm a competitive person, but when it comes to that, because they're just, unfortunately, like it's kind of the world we live in, like as a woman, and it's getting better. I do think it's getting better. And even like now and yesterday, I was so encouraged to see how many women were here at Venture. I was like, we are out here,
50% in group 1. I think it was like 30% in group 2.
Yes.
I'm so proud of each and every woman here because I used to not go to group videographer meetings because I was the one girl in a group of 30 guys. Like that was real.
Yeah, and the work that you ladies are producing is so excellent. Like it was so awesome. Even last night at Venture Awards, like Films by Madeline like crushed it. Like pretty much like swept everything. Like and just like the 15 seconds of the film that we featured, and I was like all watery-eyed. I was like, girl, get it, So. And just to add on to that, like a very practical thing. So when we stepped into commercial work, same thing. Like we shoot on Sony, so A7S II is like this big. We're not rolling up in there with red cameras, or at least at the time we weren't. And I remember Caleb was super concerned because this client was paying us a lot of money. It was the most money we'd ever seen in our lives, honestly. And I remember he was like, "Oh, we just need to bite the bullet on the red. We just need to get it." I'm like, these people hired us because they saw our work, and that work was on the A7S too. I'm like, go to the store, buy a cage for that thing, smoke and mirrors. Like, I'm gonna show up with something that does not look like an A7. I know it's an A7S2, but if you just, unfortunately, like we found, at least for now, stepping into the commercial market, like, I was like, well, this is what we film on, and if anyone is judging us by that, well, they'll see the cage and not know any better.
And I would say one of the first times we rolled up with that cage and it had a matte box on it, I made sure oh yeah, it was like it wasn't doing anything. It wasn't doing anything. And I rolled up and I pull this thing out and I'm like insecure. And this guy was like, "Oh wow, I didn't know we were doing this." And this is like a CEO, like big time. And I'm like, "You have no idea, my friend." I was like, "Oh yeah, we brought out the good stuff today." It was quite funny. And then I came back to Elaine. I'm like, "You were right again."
I'll give the perspective of a short guy, and we have female cinematographers on our team, so there's that. In the commercial side, it is 1,000%. Like weddings, we're walking in with the tiniest rig ever. I don't care. Yeah, we're the photographer. We don't really care about that. We're gonna deliver something that'll blow their minds, and that if they think we do slideshows, that's perfect. Because when they see the video, they're like, "Good Lord." So on the wedding day, I'm not normally concerned with I need to let y'all all know how awesome this is going to be. I sort of like when it's like, all right, I guess. Commercial side, we smoke and mirrors, 100. And not always smoke and mirrors. Sometimes it is huge production. But early on, we learned. So when we first got into commercial, we would show up with just our little FS100 or our 5D or whatever, and it was this is exactly what we need to pull this off. And there was a few pretty major brands we started doing things for. And at one point, on a repeat shoot, our contact there, she was like, "The work you're doing is killer. Don't change anything. But we're gonna have a VP here, and he is concerned about he knows what we're investing, and he is expecting production." And so we realized that was something that triggered oh, and you in the high end market, some wedding clients, they expect production. Those are the ones who are you gonna have a jib there? You gonna and I'm like, no, I won't. But you've called the wrong person. But on the commercial side, hire a grip and say, "Dude, just set up 17 C-stands and put do whatever. Make this look crazy. Put a matte box on an iPhone. I don't care. Deliver what you got to deliver." But the smoke and mirrors on the commercial side, it's legit. Putting up a video village for the client, a monitor for them, and a wireless feed, and their mind's blown, and you're just let's play that back. You want to watch that? And it's I'm not going to change anything. This is what we're doing. But a commercial side, I would go in expecting we need to make this, and the budgets, once they get to a point, and you're I just need to hire PAs. There needs to be people rolling in, pushing my cart with my stuff. I could shoot it myself. I'm gonna charge $2,000 to pay this person $200, and they will think this is a bigger production, and that's 100% how it works.
Solid advice. Good job. Well, thank you all so much for being a part of this audience and just being here at Venture. Thank you to all of our teachers and speakers here at Venture for being a part of this. It has been an enjoyable time here. Thank you so much for tuning into the How to Film Weddings podcast. And until next time, we will see you.